Howdy kids, you get yourself a bonus video for the weekend. Yes, indeed. You don't have to go anywhere, but look here. So, I have acquired yet another Cleveland and C4. I have got this from a good mate who has a incredibly fast white XB coupe that is twin turbo. You may have seen it in Street Machine a couple of times, but he's building an F100. And this is the motor that he pulled out because he's doing some conversion. He's doing a lot of stuff to that car. It's looking pretty good from what I saw today. He'll be doing some videos on that in the near future. So I scored this. We suspect it's a 302. Well, he sold it to me as a 302. So I went, yeah, okay, 302. And a complete 302 with a C4 is 500 smackaroos, which is absolutely bang on what people should be charging for this stuff. I think it's exactly the amount of money that needs to change hands to acquire this. And obviously I have seen this motor, I've seen footage of this motor running, and it has a rod knock, so, or something like that. It's got a knock in it. I bought the motor knowing that it needs to be rebuilt, but the bonus is when I went to go get it, he said, oh, it's got a C4 attached to it, you can have the pay for $500. I went, hell yeah, because I'm going to clean this up, give it a degrease, I'm going to take it to a transmission place, and I'm going to get them to have a look at it, and tell me if it's any good, and if it is good, it's going to go into the XB. Because the one in the XB, it was okay, but after being used, the time between gear changes is getting longer and longer and longer. And then the other day I put it in reverse, and I swear I sat there for a good 5 minutes before it found reverse. So the reason I haven't been driving the XB is because the trans is not reliable. Now, this engine originated from what we believe to be a ZF Fairlane. Judging by the numbers, 37? Oh, 37. What is 37, or is that a Fairmont? I'll catch up in a second. I'm just going to do a little Googling and we'll continue this video in a second. Back again. No, it is in fact a Fairlane 500. May 72. So this is a ZF Fairlane engine. Originally. So, we originally thought, we both were like 302, but my suspicions are the longer I look at it, I'm thinking that it's potentially a 5.1. The only reason I say that is because it looks to have the American heads on it, which are the odd ones, because as far as I'm aware with Cleveland's, there was 3 types of cylinder heads. You had the American ones, the Australian 5.1s, and the Australian 302s. And obviously, 5.1, all 5.1 heads are open chamber, 302s are closed chamber. Now, he measured the stroke at 3 inches, but you can get a bit of variation. You might be able to misread it, but I have no reason to doubt that he was right. So I'm going to assume it's the 302, but if I crack it open and it's a 5.1, I'm going to be giggling like a schoolgirl. Because the only reason I say that is I can't see any of the normal ridge marks that are in the castings of the heads. You know how I was talking about in my other videos how you get 2 big ones for 351 in Australian, and you get 3 little ones for 302? So I actually have, so yes, quick look, take a look at that. There is 0 casting marks in that. And then you go over here, which we happen to have some Australian 5.1 heads. I'll have to go that way around because we moved all the cars. And over here, if you follow me over here, you can see quite clearly there's a lump right in the middle. So 2 big ridges, and those are open chamber Australian heads. They're a 351. So the reason I think my suspicions, I don't ever recall seeing, I know Americans never ever received 3 closed chamber heads. All their clevos were always 5.1s, and they never got 302 closed chamber heads. So my suspicions are, considering that I don't recognise any of the casting marks on this, is I think this is wearing 5.1 heads, which you can put on a 302, but it would be gutless as all hell. So I'm going to have a bit of a nosy. I'm going to measure the stroke, which is fairly simple. Basically all you do is you get the dipstick and you poke it in a hole. Well, I use the dipstick anyway because it's the most convenient thing. Poke it in the hole, just take a little scratch mark on it or something, wind the motor over till it goes all the way down, do another scratch, pull them up and measure the distance. And that's one of the ways to pick them. And if it's 3 inches, it's 302. If it's 3.5 inches, it's 351. But I think I might just not beat off around the bush. I might just drop the sump and have a look and see what we've got. It could be a 302, but I don't recognise the heads, which is what's throwing me. And I don't believe anyone's had this. We both suspected that this engine is a virgin bore and unrebuilt. So if it is, that'll be like the 50th Cleveland I've encountered recently that's been a virgin bore. I have not personally encountered a Cleveland since starting my channel that's been bored and honed and redone. Every single Cleveland I've encountered at the moment, I seem to be on a winning streak, have all been original blocks. So I'll catch up in a second after I have a bit more of a look. So I've decided to do a bit of a camera thing. What I'll do is a bit of an action shot, as some people like to see. Got my ruler, got my pen. I've just put a bit of tape on the dipstick there. Should actually just put I'll just put a whole piece on it. That way I have the ability to mark it. Wouldn't that be a clever idea? Duh. The timing chain in this motor is particularly sad, which is not at all surprising. Go about there. I reckon that'll probably be plenty. Whoa! Halfway there. I just need to be able to see clearly. And this isn't actually the most definitive way to do this. But where is... right there. Okay, cool. What I'll do now, I've already pulled the piston all the way up. I'm going to mark it on the rocker cover because that's the easiest way. Right, wait, it had some junk on it. Right, see? Nearly there. This is where you got to feel it a bit. You got to make sure, and you can get some variations in it because obviously you're trying to poke this on the top of a piston and it can walk away on you a little bit. So there, and we'll go all the way down. Of course it has compression, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, up, and we reach bottom. Okay. Right, where that greasy mark is. That doesn't seem right. Pointing out that it's potentially 302. Interesting theory. So 3.5 inches, it should have been up here. But it only seems to be only 3 inches. So this motor has made me raise an eyebrow. Oopsies. Yeah, that's bang on 3 inches, so where did my cap go? Alright, so we're into investigation mode now. So, unless Australia got some... Oh, I might take the tape off before I poke that back down the hole. Unless Australia got some interesting heads, but I don't recognise the heads though, so what we're going to do now is I'll probably drop the sump, it'll be the quickest option, and I'll have a bit of a look to see what we've actually got. I wouldn't be surprised if it is actually a 302, but I can't recognise the cylinder heads because they're not the standard ones that you see. So this is a learning experience for me as well as it is for you. So the sad realisation is that it is actually a 302, but at least the method of checking the stroke through the dipstick hole is 100% correct, and you'll see quite clearly 302 Cleveland. But it still doesn't make me happy because I can't recognise the cylinder heads. So now I'm going to pull a cylinder head and find out what the fruit's going on. Whether or not this is yet another type of Cleveland cylinder head that is going to make picking them very difficult. Because you've seen in my other videos how you can quite clearly tell from the casting marks what the fruit biscuits they are. So now I've got to figure out what to do with that. I possibly have to put the sump back on and put it down the ground and take the manifold and the heads off. Or at least I'll take one head off. I want to know what the cylinder heads are because it's throwing me now. It's made me very upset. But I mean, I'm not upset because this is a perfectly good candidate for rebuild. So yeah, probably the idea that's brewing in my head at the moment is I'm actually really contemplating selling the XY, really like properly, and I've had a bit of interest in it, but as soon as you say it doesn't have a motor, people really start losing interest really fast. So what I'm contemplating doing is keeping this C4, take the one that's out of my XB, stick it on the back of this motor and stick them both in the XY, both suit rebuild, but at least they're there. Because it gives you something to work from. The whole car is a rebuild, and every motor you buy is a suit rebuild. But I don't know, I've got a lot of ideas brewing at the moment, and that's one of them. Just really have too much on the go, and I think the XY Ute will probably have to go, unfortunately. So yeah, you might see that on the interwebs in a few months, sort of partly put back together. But at least I really am thinking about sticking this in the hole to sort of sweeten the deal, because at least it gives you something to work from. It's better than not having one at all. So I was just tipping out the oil so I could see what kind of sludge is in the bottom of the sump, and I've just found what I can only assume to be, looks like bearing material. So, and whatever this spring is, I don't know where that's come from. I keep looking at the wrong thing, but anyway. I'm going to put the sump back on, but on the outside, scored a 5-1 sump. It's got the baffled sump in it. So that's an awesome score. Very happy with that. The motor may not be a 5-1. Oh. But it did have the good sump, so that's a score. Consider that a win. I don't know why it's wearing that. That's why I'm a bit curious about this engine as to, holy moly, why it's got what seems to be oddball parts on it. I'm going to take the heads off. I've got to know what they are. Oh yeah. So the motor's suit rebuild. Oh, yep. Okay, I'm going to wash my hand now and then get back into the motor. Alright, you can join me for some disassembly. Prepare yourself, you may hear the compressor go. So I need to take off the manifolds, take off the rocker gear. Gee, that looks sad in there, doesn't it? Already got one off, so gee, how worn are these? Little oil grooves are gone. This is going to be very much like my last 302 that I paid through the nose for. So I suspect this motor, oh, very sludgy. Oh, luck of the draw, but at least this one was the right price, a lot less. Just right. People will probably be like, what are you using railgun for? Well, I've got a sore wrist, I've got nerve damage in my hands, so sue me. Wouldn't use one to do it up, put it that way. Still got one of the heat riser tubes on. It's incredible. Incredible enough. These will probably all go in the bin. The bin. They're all flogged out and totally stuffed. You won't use them if you care. La 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 la. La 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 la. Amazing. Right. So, you only need about 5 sockets to take these things apart. It's quite incredible. Hey, didn't break. Bit short for being a little short for being a stormtrooper, ain't you? Well, that's officially annoying me. Those translines will probably find their way into the XB. Whoa, just bumped you. And those too. Oh yes, use a cheap Chinese ratchet. That'll be good. Let's make sure I haven't bumped you out of location. That's better. I did that one. From having none of these cast iron manifolds to stacks of them. I guess that's how life gets you. Hey! Hello, boys. It's actually still a good one, actually, that one. Over you go. Right. I might crack the head bolts, or at least see if I can get them with a railgun. If not, I'll have to use the breaker bar. Let's see. Hey, it worked. Nope. Yay. Winning. Right, now we're on to the inlet manifold. So we need a 9/16 1/2 inch. And I think we may, whoops, prong, be able to get them all. From here. What's that? 1/2 inch. You get 2 long ones, 2 short ones. Right in the middle. Come on. Yeah, right. Now, the rest are 9/16. And being a 2-barrel manifold, it's basically a door weight, because nobody in their right mind would want one. or doorstop basically. Keep all the brackets, they're all very, very handy. The 2-barrel carburetor is worth approximately 2 nubs of cold shit, so nothing. Well, nothing to me anyway. Take that off. Off with her head. Now, can I do this? I'm going to need some form of pry bar. Be back in a second. I won't be long. Alright. Come on. Here's a good spot. Hey! Now this pry bar is like $200 on a good day. I don't think it's worth it in my opinion, but I got given it, so I'ma have it. Eat your Wheaties! Ugh. Get out of the way, kids, I tell you! Woo! Right. What have we got in here? What is that? Can you say silicon, kids? Yeah! How much is in there? Tons! Yes, that's correct. Oh, mercy! Somebody's been here. Alright, I'm gonna get the breaker bar to crack those last ones. We have to get that off actually, because that. I'll just take that bolt out. I reckon. I'll take that bolt out and drop the head off in a second. But I'll catch up in a second. Well, you know when you prove yourself wrong. Well, it seems that I have discovered that I've never seen this before, but there is yet another cast 302 head. So closed chamber 302, but without the 3 little ridges. So that's news to me. Never seen that before. Let's just turn it over. Far out, heavy. Incredible. Not a single casting mark to help you pick them. Wow. Because like I said in my other video, some of them you can pick really easily because they've got 3 little ridges. In this one, on both ends, on both heads, there is quite literally nothing. So there must be an early 302 head and a late 302 head. But it's what made me want to open this engine up to see what the hell I was looking at. Doesn't seem offensive in there. Ring ridge is quite a bit more noticeable in this one than this one. Probably a prime candidate for being rebuilt. I should just get my digital calipers to find out if that's a virgin bore block, which I might do. I'll catch up in a second. Right, now I'm going to wrap this video up here with a little measuring of the bore. There is carbon in there, so it's not going to read the normal amount, but it's certainly not over 4 inches. So I'm going to call that, quite happily, yet another virgin bore Cleveland. I think it's supposed to be 3.9 or something. We're talking thousandths of an inch there's of dirt and carbon and crap built up on the edges, and I can't be bothered cleaning it enough to get a proper reading, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't over 4 inches. So, and I wasn't surprised that it wasn't. But so how about that for a little learning lesson, kids? I didn't think. I thought I'd seen all the heads. Apparently not. The joys of well, it is nice to learn things, and I never ever claim to know gospel and stuff. All of my knowledge is from experience, and until now, the only 302 heads I'd ever seen were the Australian ones, which were the ones that have, I call them the Australian ones, the ones with the 3 notches in them. So this is the first time I've ever seen a no-notch closed chamber head. Quite incredible. I've never seen it. But you learn something new every day, and the idea is to, take on all knowledge that comes in, no matter what it is, even if that knowledge proves your old theories wrong. So now I'm a bit stuffed, because now I've worked out this engine is taking up the place where the EJ has to go Monday. So Monday I might be doing some cleaning up. But we have a very tired 302 that I'm pretty darn sure has spun a bearing, because what I found in the sump was nothing pretty, and I definitely found bearing material in the sump. But for the meantime, I'll probably put the head back on, the manifold back on, just temporarily. Just sort of reassemble it to a complete motor, but nothing torqued down, and then rip the trans off and get that home so I can potentially put that in the XB. But the motor is just going to go live in a corner somewhere and probably collect dust until such time as somebody wants one for a rebuild. Or I can put it in something to get rid of something. I don't know. I'll just play it by ear. But I hope you enjoyed this little episode. Bit of a bonus one. Bit of engine stuff, which everybody seems to like. So, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. And keep on keeping on and be good to yourselves.